So Bob, can you tell me about the origins of Berry Insurance from what you know?
Well, from what I know, Kate, I'd be happy to share. The agency actually started with my grandmother. She was married to a blacksmith, and he unfortunately died at a young age, leaving her with 5 small kids. This was back in the early 1900s. And she was determined to keep the family together. So she went out and she got a job at the local bank, but the bank didn't pay a whole lot of money. So to supplement her income, she became what was known as a kitchen broker, which was typical in those days. They would have people literally working out of their kitchen selling insurance. She was fortunate that we're part of a big Irish family, and it was a way for the family and close family friends to help her out, and they'd come to her when they had some insurance need. That continued up until her death, and when she died, my dad took the business over, and he decided it would be a good business for his children to be in. And he kept that going up until my brother Hank and I had finished our schooling. And in the early 60s, we joined the agency, and we really kind of built it from that point on. Initially, we had a real estate brokerage operation as well, but the insurance seemed to hold a lot more promise for us, and that's where we eventually wound up focusing our efforts. A big event for the Berry Insurance operation was when we got our first agency contract, and that was with the Shelby Mutual Insurance Company that's long gone now.
So in 63, 64, when yourself and Hank joined, was that in the Wollaston office?
Yeah, my dad had, I grew up in Quincy. He was living in Wollaston at the time, and he had opened up this little real estate office in Wollaston. That's where we were. We moved out of the dining room, and we really had an office location for a change. It was an interesting time because after World War II, there were something like 20 million men and women, but mostly men, in the service. Of course, the war ended, and they were all discharged. There was a severe housing shortage because nothing had got built during World War II, and the 10 years prior to that had been the Depression, and nothing much got built then either. So at that time, it was typical. Most real estate brokers had an insurance business, and it was just kind of a way to supplement their income. But what happened after World War II is the real estate market took off, and there was all this tremendous building in the suburbs around Boston. Many of the real estate brokers began to feel that this insurance thing was a hindrance. They were making more money than they ever dreamed possible selling real estate. So they'd like to unload the insurance business, and because of my dad's connections with other real estate brokers, we were positioned well to take advantage of it and say, well, you don't want the insurance business, we do, we'll take it off your hands. Yeah. And it was funny because at that time, it was considered a very risky thing to do. You had veteran insurance people telling me, oh, we would never buy an agency. That's really unorthodox. Luckily, we were too young and too inexperienced. Our ignorance protected, I guess. We thought it was working pretty good, but everybody was telling us it was crazy. But we kept doing it. And over a period of about 15 years, we probably bought 24 agencies.
Bob, what's a significant story or memory that you have with the agency?
Oh, gee, there's so many memories. What stands out to me is the 2 catastrophes that we faced. In the 70s, Massachusetts decided to pass an automobile insurance law, which was the first no-fault law in the country. And it was a good idea. The problem with the legislation as it was drafted, it was terrible legislation. And the insurance company said to the governor, he said, you sign that bill, we're out of here. And the governor laughed. He said it was the usual hollow threat. So he went ahead and signed the bill anyway. And sure enough, 3 days later, after he signed that bill, we had registered letters from all of our companies saying, your contract is revoked.
Wow.
So we were basically out of business. Interesting experience one day. So fortunately, cooler heads prevailed, and over the next couple of weeks, maybe about a month, they were able to resolve the differences, and the legislation got changed to the point where the company said, okay, we'll stay here and we'll stay in business. Wow. But it set an environment that had been contentious before, and now is really bitter going forward. And although they stayed in business, over the next 10 years, the environment really deteriorated, and it got worse each year. And finally, in 1987, a year never to be forgotten, most of the major insurance companies pulled out of Massachusetts. And we were faced with another catastrophe when we were really looking at some tough times. What had happened after the no-fault fight, we decided that we should diversify our book of business, that we needed more commercial accounts just to protect ourselves. Number one, because the insurance companies didn't want to write personal lines business. And number two, we were just as our own protection. So we'd put a push on building up a commercial lines book. And that went really well up until 1987 when we suddenly found we couldn't sell any commercial products anymore. Over the next couple of years, it was really tough. There was a lot of market disruptions. It was very difficult to place business. But the saving grace was it was tough for everybody. It wasn't just us. It was the industry was really struggling. But we got through that. And those two experiences really kind of colored a couple of lessons. The lessons we took from it is, one, that you have to diversify. And number two, you got to expect the unexpected. And that prepared us pretty well for what the third really tough time was, which was one you folks experienced, 2007, 2008, period of the Great Recession.
Yeah.
Fortunately, at that time when that struck, we were diversified and we did have reserves and we were able to weather that storm. And I was thinking about that with you folks recently because with the COVID-19 shutdown, who would have predicted the government would shut everybody's business down?
Yeah.
And so hopefully our experiences, your shared experiences will be helpful to you going forward.
We felt very lucky during COVID-19 that the governor deemed us as essential workers during that time, because then we didn't have to fully close our operations, but so many businesses were impacted. It was really tough watching our clients struggle, for sure. So Bob, how do you think the agency or the industry in general has changed since you started?
Oh, it's changed a lot, night and day. Technology has been a huge impact. Back in the old days when I started, everything was pen and paper and telephones, and if you really wanted to get a hold of somebody, you'd send them a telegram. What a quaint way to communicate, a telegram. Early on in my career, computers, of course, go back to the Second World War, but they were beginning to be introduced in industry. The insurance industry were some of the early adopters. They would have these big, huge rooms full of hardware that required special attention and special temperature and special people, and nobody understood what they were all about. It's really amazing now. Today, people are walking around with more computing power in their telephones than these big mainframe computers many years ago. People have changed. Their beliefs are different, their behaviors are different, the way they think about things have changed. It's really interesting because the more things have changed, the basics still haven't. People haven't fundamentally changed. They still value information. They're looking for people to help them.
Yeah.
They admire people that are working hard. They want to be treated with respect. They want to be treated honestly. And they want to like the people they're doing business with. And that's true, I think, today. And it certainly was true when I started, 1962. It's an awful number to think about. But people haven't changed.
Yeah.
The way we do business has changed. The way the world runs has changed. But people still pretty basic, decent people.
I think it's been really great that, you mentioned technology, but in the years that we've been with the agency, you have always been on top of changing technologies and implementing changing technologies at the agency. And I think that's been one of our greatest advantages, is you always stayed on top of everything that was changing and wanted to try new things.
I don't know if I stayed on top. I was probably trying not to get run over, Kate. But I think a lot of that I would credit you with, because you certainly you opened my eyes to a lot of things, and some of the things you brought in I thought were really kind of, I don't want to say nutty if we're amongst friends, but I respected your intelligence, and it worked out, and thank you for that.
Thank you. But I think you're right, most people have not changed in general. All of our clients value the relationships that we try to build with them, and everybody really does want information and guidance and resources, and I think that will never change. As much technology as you can implement, I don't think that will ever go away.
No, when you analyze the insurance business, and our part of it, the agency business that we're in, it's all about providing financial security and helping people manage risk. And the world is more complex today. People need more help than ever before. The information overload is just incredible. So I think that, going forward, that's not going to change.
Bob, since your retirement and now looking at the agency from the outside, how do you think we've changed and grown, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I admire what you've done. I think the big change, and it's something I'm still grappling with, is the whole social media marketing stuff. I don't use Facebook, I don't use Twitter, I'm not on Instagram. It's all a mythology to me. I don't understand it at all. But it's the world that we inhabit now, and you're there, and you're utilizing it, and I admire that. I can't tell you that I understand it very well, Chris, but...
I don't think I do either that much. That's why it's gone on, Caitlin.
But that's the big change that I've seen. I really am fascinated. In the old days, I sound like a really old bat, I apologize, but the old model that you'd open up the office at 9 o'clock, and take an hour for lunch and close the door at 5 o'clock, and then you go home and come back in and open up at 9 o'clock the next morning. That's all gone, right? It's 24/7, and people don't want to wait. They have a question, they want an answer now, and you better be there to respond to them. And puts a lot of pressure on you folks trying to run a company and meet those expectations. Much, much tougher today than it was in my time to respond to clients' needs. But I think you're positioned to do it, and you do it really well. I congratulate you on it.
I think our efforts towards digital marketing started when the competitive auto rating changed in 2008?
Yes.
And that's when we first started blogging as an agency, and that was a brand new thing for us. And then everything kind of evolved off of that. We blogged, then we decided we were going to create a Facebook page and our Twitter account, things that we had never done before, and tried to manage it all and get messages from our clients on Facebook Messenger, and that was a lot to try to figure out how to handle those communications. But it's been interesting to see, for sure, the change in technology and marketing as a result.
I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah, 2008, I remember.
And I was convinced you were crazy at the time. But
I think I was convinced I was also crazy, and we weren't really sure what we were doing, but we started somewhere.
You had to start someplace.
Bob, most businesses don't make it to 100 years. What do you think has played the role in Barry Insurance's success in doing so?
My best guess would be that for a company to survive, it has to have a purpose more than making money. So in my grandmother's case, her purpose was to keep her family together as a unit, and she wasn't going to give up her kids. In my dad's case, he kept the business going because he saw it as a vehicle for his children. When my brother Hank and my brother-in-law and I came along, it was more, we were just trying to survive. It wasn't any grand purpose, so we were just trying to keep our head above water. And as we went along, began to get a little bigger and a little more stable, and then your purpose shifts. But at the end of it, up until the time that I retired, I was really kind of focused on creating an opportunity that had been given to me. My dad gave me a great opportunity, which was to own a business. And my motivation at the end was to try to create an opportunity for other people to have the same benefit that I have. Luckily, you and Caitlin took me up on the offer. So going forward, to keep it going another 100 years, you'll have to come up with some greater purpose than just earning a living. But if you can find a purpose, and I think that's what keeps companies going, and they have a greater purpose than just it's a place to go to work.
I know that was a big purpose of Caitlin and I buying the agency from you and taking you up on the offer, was keeping 7 other families having a job. So making sure that they were there instead of a big company corporation coming in and buying it up. And then, we know that what would have happened, there would have been a handful of layoffs because of overlap and everything. And, that was one thing that we thought and took big and saying, no, let's make sure everybody's here still. So that was a big portion.
It's a sad story. You see so many companies merge, and what really happens is a lot of people lose their employment. So we always tried to have the agency so it had some sense of stability, so that people that wanted to be there, that wanted to try to grow, it would be an opportunity for them to not only have a job and have a paycheck and a sense of security, but also personal growth, and maybe get challenged a little bit depending upon their desires to grow.
And I think too, it also, for me, it was more that the culture that you had built at the agency of that very thing, making sure that our clients are protected more over, price and over profits, was something that made me want to continue the agency, because that was something that we believed in, and we still, that's how we hire our, new employees, is to make sure that that is what they value first before anything else. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a good fit for us.
Goes back to my grandmother when she started. I mean, she was dealing with family. The culture was always, you take care of your family. And even when we had a lot more clients, it was always client comes first.
Yep.
And you want to be treated the way you'd like to be treated, and you never get treated. I know families have hiccups and disagreements from time to time, but at the end of the day, the family unit is really strong. And I knew family was really important to you and Chris, and you had the same values that we had, and that's why I was really happy when you took the agency over.
Bob, where would you like to see Berry Insurance go in the next 100 years?
Well, I guess my biggest wish, Kate, would be around to see it, but I hope the agency can survive and continue to offer a valuable service to our clients. And I hope that it will continue to evolve and change and improve and get better. Where that will take it, I don't have a clue. I wish I was smart enough to figure something like that out, but I think the future is really promising for you young people, and as long as you stay true to your values and work hard and keep your head above water, I think you'll be fine. And you may have a chance to see it 100 years from now, because I'm sure science may come up with a magic pill.
Oh man, I can't imagine that.
It's kind of a grim thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was a lot of great trips. Yeah, a lot of family parties, team parties, and
Oh,
to
the boat
Boston,
cruise.
the excursion with the
Charles River thing.
the limos when we were in
Oh yeah, the scavenger
the
hunt.
scavenger hunt.
Scavenger.
That was a nice one as well.
I'm looking forward to when COVID goes away and we can
Will you
maybe
do
do
some more?
something,
Oh, that'll be
something
fun.
fun for the
Yeah,
team.
that'll be great.
We just did a chocolate tour,
Yeah, we did the chocolate tour.
Boston.
Yeah,
We took the whole team into Boston, and there's a local business that does chocolate tours, and we go around to a handful. We did off of Newberry Street and some of the side
wow.
roads, and
She knows all the history of chocolate in Massachusetts.
You would have liked to make that one. Yeah, he did one with the geese on the common. We were all sitting on the ducks.
Yes.
the scavenger hunt.
Yeah, I think that was a scavenger
Wacky,
hunt.
Packy, and Macky, or whatever the.
Yeah, I think those were fun, and being able to bring those back will be a nice change. I remember the first day I started, and I got to the office before anybody else, and I sat on the stoop waiting
Really?
for somebody to show up.
You were the early
I was so
bird?
nervous driving an hour to Franklin.
Where were you living at the? You and
I was
Chris
in
were in
South-
Norwood at one time.
Well, when I was
After you got
hired, I
married.
was in Southbridge.
In Southbridge.
Yep. And I remember you put me through like 8 interviews.
It wasn't 8, Kate.
I'm pretty sure it was
It
8.
was only 7.
Yeah, 7. Pretty sure. It was a lot. I remember you hired Chris when I was at the Applied Conference in Nashville, and he called me and said, I just got a job with your company. And I said, what?
I do remember that, and I remember that I insisted that you and Chris couldn't work in the same office,
Yeah.
which probably hurt some feelings.
No, actually, that was a really good move. That was a really good move.
Until we moved out here to Whitensville, then I was like, I can't commute into Quincy every single day. So that's when you allowed after a
It was
year or
too
so.
late
Yeah,
at that point. It was
yep.
beyond redemption. So yeah. Well, we worked with so many good people and had so many good memories of really skilled, talented people, both in the agency and at the company level, and our clients. We've been great over the years. Had to pick one out from amongst all of them. Really, really we're blessed with good people, and I'm sure you'll keep it going.
We have a lot of clients that still will reach out and say, "Did you know I used to work at the agency so many years ago?" I'm like, I did not. Wow.
Yeah, and they're still clients.
And they're
which
still clients.
I guess says something
Yes.
positive about us. So
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. So Bob, how are you feeling about the fact that we're celebrating 100 years?
Well, I feel great, Kate. Numbers are a little scary since I'm approaching 100 myself, because it seems like it went by really quickly. I can tell you that my grandmother and my dad would be really thrilled at the idea that the agency is still coming along after all this time. I think it's a testament to their foresight and their hard work that we got to this point. Also congratulate you and Chris on where you're at, and I'm sure you're both looking forward to 100 years more afterwards. So it's a really good benchmark. So many companies fail, and so few get to the second generation, and here we are. I guess we're on the fourth generation now. So it's a nice feeling.
I think it's really funny because a lot of clients will talk to me and say, "Oh, so how's your dad doing?" And I say, "Well, Bob wasn't my dad, but he was like a father figure in many ways to us at the agency." And it's been an honor for Chris and I to be able to continue the agency tradition, and we hope Berry Insurance stays Berry Insurance for much, much more longer.